Welcome back to the F1 2018 career mode here. You join me for Season 2 and the Bahrain Grand Prix. You can see there Haas, very similar to us. We've got some failed upgrades, but we are going to be working on those today. Thanks to the practice programs we've had here in Bahrain, we're going to get a major front downforce and a major rear downforce upgrade that I wanted for last weekend, but didn't happen. But now they're going to happen and they're going to be on the car for China. So that is some exciting development there. Coming into qualifying then, we are going to be going for our second lap here at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Our first lap put us P10. I'm feeling a bit more excited about this particular circuit rather than Australia because it is much more of a power-based circuit. And obviously the best part of this car is still its engine. But at the moment we're faster than Perez, slower than Magnussen. So that's pretty much exactly where you would expect the car to be. Right now our Delta was slightly down. But Bahrain, I feel as if I did the laps I did in practice. I learned some things about the circuit and I was actually able to get better at this track, because long-time viewers of the channel will know that I'm not a huge fan of the Bahrain circuit, but I think I managed to get myself better over this weekend, particularly during the race. About midway through the race I was finding some new braking points and some lines that I could take to just be better, essentially. You can see my Delta going up a little bit. This turn 9 into 10, one of the hardest corners on the entire calendar of Formula 1. I pretty much nailed it, and you just see my Delta shoot up on the traction zone as we now shoot down max fuel mixture, of course, and hot lap mode down towards the left. Right, you always got to brake later than you think you have to. Let it drift down. Once again, the Delta just going up in these corners. We're now nearly a quarter of a second up as we cross, and believe it or not, we've actually had the fastest middle sector. We were 8 tenths down at the start of the first sector, and we're now only 6 tenths down on pole position. Fastest middle sector of anybody in qualifying, and for the Force India, that is very, very impressive as we turn in, kiss the curb. You don't want to ride the curb whatsoever. We've actually lost time in this final sector compared to my Delta, so that's a little disappointing. We're going to come across the line, and it's up to P9 with a 28 flat. Better than Magnussen, and an improvement, which is what we like to see. But now what we're going to do is we're going to go for one last hoorah. We're still P9, and we're still improving, so let's see what we can do through the middle sector. Probably better line. Car drifted a little bit over the curb. Raikkonen, though, I think he's on an outlap at the moment, could potentially be in my way, so we're going to need to see if that's going to hamper us in any way, shape or form as we come through turn 9 into 10. Raikkonen's very slow. He's forced me out wide and hampered the line, and I'm just going to abandon the lap because it sucked. I got impeded.
The curtain rises once more then on the desert stage of Sakir as the players take their places for the opening act. Will they enthrall us like they did in 2014 with that titanic battle between Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton? Well, we'll find out shortly as we get underway here in Bahrain. We'll be racing around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit today, with 15 corners and 2 DRS zones into turns 1 and turn 11. That should create some good passing opportunities. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left down into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Ferrari. We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
There are a few downcast looks within the team this weekend. I think they've been hit fairly hard by the new regs. But this is only the first step down a long road of development, and even if they don't maximise their points today, there are plenty more up for grabs this season.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Raikkonen, Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Bottas, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Sainz, and Sergio Perez. Gasly, the captain, Lance Stroll, and Sirotkin, Leclerc, Alonso, Romain Grosjean. They've taken a grid penalty, and Brendan Hartley, Ericsson, and Stoffel Van Dorn completes the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Well, as you can see, we dropped outside the top 10. We're starting P12. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though, because it means that I have the opportunity to start on the soft tyres, go to the mediums, and run to the do a one-stop and run to the end of the Grand Prix. But unlike Australia, I'm running a more front-heavy aero setup to get the nose of the car in some of the tricky corners that we have here. Very customized in regards to the suspension. I don't normally do a lot of suspension tweaking. But yeah, different setup. Feeling a lot more confident going into this one. It's a dry race. It suits me better. And let's see what this Force India can do, especially in the straight line, ready for some overtakes as we build. We have 5 red lights for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Lights are out and away we go. We're going to bog down off the start because everyone's on super softs, whereas we're on the soft tyres. Both Williams have cannibalised me going up to turn 1, but that's okay. Braver on the brakes. Perez down the inside, also on the soft tyre, so Perez might be trying to pull off the one-stop here. Similar to myself, Gasly and Sainz are side by side. Perez up to 9th. We retake both Williams. Alonso is now on the right-hand side as we now charge down towards turn 4. Sainz very slow on the braking zone, and Gasly. We're going to lunge down the inside of him. Perez has passed Magnussen. We're up into 10th place. We've gained 2 positions there off the start. We'll immediately turn the fuel and the ERS down. And once again, we're going to be staring at the back. Well, initially after some sliding mistakes there, we're staring at the back of a Haas of Kevin Magnussen. Vettel leads the way at the end of lap 1 with, like I say, Magnussen in 9th and my teammate Perez there up in 8th. And it looks as if we're both going to be trying the one-stop. Pierre Gasly's got a lot of speed in the straight line in my slipstream. No DRS as of yet, but he's going to try the outside of turn 1. Very popular overtaking spot here in Bahrain. Wasn't quite able to get the job done that time around, but what can he do the following time around? Rich mix, high ERS, 32.5 at the end of the second lap. DRS isn't going to be active this lap, so no DRS for Gasly's attempt here. He tries, and we're just going to go wide. Make sure he can't. He tried to cut back underneath me. Impressive attempt there from Pierre Gasly, but no dice for him. But now he appears to be still in my slipstream up towards turn 4. Is he going to go for a move down the inside? Thinks better of it, but I've run it out wide. That's going to cost me potentially on the exit. No, Gasly not quite able to make a move there. And unfortunately, the middle sector here in Bahrain is very much single file, one by one, so no attempt at an overtake there as we come to the end of lap 4. Daniel Ricciardo has dropped down to 9th place. I don't know if he's got issues there with his Red Bull and that Renault power unit. Sainz is up to 11th place now, so Sainz is going to be the one potentially trying to attack me. And, you know, Force India locked in a bitter rivalry with Renault at the moment in relation to who is going to be able to claim glory this year around in the Constructors' Championship. We're going to spend, of course, the full season with Force India, unlike last year where we jumped ship from Williams. There's a yellow flag up ahead. It's Kevin Magnussen for the 2nd race in a row. He's pulling off to the side of the road and retiring from a Grand Prix from a points-paying position, and once again brings out the VSC. So we're up into 9th because of Magnussen's retirement. Use this opportunity to save fuel, save ERS. We now move on to the end of lap 5. Ricciardo there, up in 8th, pulling away from us a little bit, so whatever issues he had might be resolved. Sainz is in our slipstream though. He pulls across to the right. We defend, then Sainz goes across to the left. He has DRS, of course. Is he going to try and make a move into turn 1? He's very far ahead into the braking zone. A lot further ahead than I normally let someone get, so we've had to force him out wide a little bit and cut him off for the next left-hander. That meant we had to ride the curb, but Sainz lost a lot of time there in that attempted overtake. With cars in the pits at the end of lap 7, those are the runners that started on the super soft tyre. That's Hulkenberg coming in. Everyone's going to the soft, so they're committing to a 2-stop strategy as we pull to the inside again. Sainz tries to make a move. I squeeze him in the braking zone, and then I braked early to try and put him off, and I've had to take a lot of inside curb because Sainz was a lot further forward, and in fact, he's even more further forward through turns 2 and 3 as we now charge towards turn 4. We've got to try using the superior power unit of the Force India. Can Sainz make a move? No, we chop across him into the braking zone and through turn 4. That was fortunate there because Sainz got a lot closer than I wanted him to. End of lap 8, more cars in on the super soft tyre, and that includes Sainz. Vettel's coming out on the super soft, so definitely on a 2-stop. Perez leads the Grand Prix on his soft tyres, and I pull in to 2nd place. So now it's a Force India 1-2, and we're both on the 1-stop strategy. So this could definitely be very beneficial for us for the rest of the race. We've now got Sebastian Vettel pull up behind me in the much superior Ferrari. He's without question the fastest car on the grid these days, and he's on faster, fresher tyres, and there was honestly no point in fighting that one. I wanted to try and back him up, but yeah, no, Vettel, hell of a lot faster. You just see the understeer I get from him behind the Ferrari through the long right-hander. But Vettel's going to go off into the distance. He's probably got this Grand Prix all signed, sealed and delivered, as it were. The only thing that's going to stop him is potentially reliability issues. As we now move on to the start of lap 10, we've got Vettel pulling away down towards turn 4, but Raikkonen now pulls into the slipstream of the Force India. Can he make a move down the inside? We've had some good tussles with Raikkonen over last season when we ran into him on the circuit. He hasn't quite made the move into turn 4. Is he going to try and make it into the next right-hander? He is, but he's slow on apex. Can we try and get back past the fin? No. Unfortunately not. Try and, like I've said before, when we start to battle with Ferraris, try and make ourselves look good, you know, go to Mercedes. Hey, you know, I'm performing here. Speaking of Mercedes, here comes Lewis Hamilton in my slipstream, and we're definitely not going to fight this one. We're going to sort of, you know, give him a nice wide berth on corner entry. Like, there you go, Hamilton. No concerns with you coming past me. Need to look good for Mercedes. Of course, he needs to try and get the best finishing position as possible for his championship, because Ferrari are that much faster this year. And of course, we want to move up to the Works Mercedes team, because that's essentially the goal as the reserve driver. But now, we're fighting Max Verstappen, who's going to try and have a go into the long left-hander of turn 11. He's pinched himself on the apex quite a lot, and he's tried to pull ahead a little bit. We're in the running, though, into the next right-hander. We run a bit of curb, and Magnussen out on the marbles. Sorry, Verstappen out on the marbles. And he did have to pull out the throttle, otherwise he would have just gone sailing off into the distance. I've then had a poor run through the next right-hander. We go down towards the final corner on the circuit. Verstappen just doesn't have it on the top end. He might be running too much downforce, or like I say, his power unit just doesn't match up to the Mercedes engine we've got in the back of this Force India. He's going to have to wait for the home straight, where he's going to have to rely on slipstream, a bit of ERS, and DRS, of course. So now we pull to the inside, and look at him still just nowhere. That Red Bull is nowhere on the straights. He only pulls alongside because of how early I braked, but that allows me to swing the car in and squeeze him out on corner exit. And we're going to be coming in very soon. Apparently Perez has just made a move for first place. I thought, oh no, yeah, Vettel is now up behind him. Pit window's open. We come in at the end of lap 13. Bang on the marks. In fact, a little slow into the pit lane, but this Bahrain's an easy one to start speeding, and that's exactly what you want to avoid. So we're coming in for our one and only pit stop at the Grand Prix for medium compound tyres. These first set of tyres did an excellent job. There goes Ricciardo on a set of super softs. Alonso's behind me. There go both Renaults. But remember, they have to pit again. So theoretically, this should work out in the aspect of I should be ahead of them and be able to defend at the end of the race. What we need to try and do is make sure we're ahead of Lance Stroll coming out of turn 1. He definitely tries to make a move, my old teammate, and he tries to cut back underneath me, but nothing quite doing there. Can he try and make a move up towards turn 4 as I've gone on the curb? No, he appears to have dropped back a little bit. So Lance Stroll not able to make the move as I was coming out the pits. Now I need to get used to these medium tyres, warm them up a little bit, and build up a bit of momentum, because I'm struggling at the moment. Cars are in the pits for their second pit stop, or maybe their first, depending on what tyres they're running. Stroll is in my slipstream, and of course that Williams is an absolute rocket ship in a straight line. Much better than the Red Bull. Look at that going into turn 1. Lance Stroll trying desperately to get past me and show that he's potentially worthy of a seat at Force India in the future. But no, no way of being able to get past me. We're back up to P11 after cars have made their pit stops. And now we are going to be rolling on towards the end of the race. Essentially, more cars are in the pits. There's a Renault. There's Bottas coming out the pits on medium tyres. So he's now behind me. And Daniel Ricciardo once again ahead of me on super softs. And I would say he's definitely made another pit stop. And those super softs ain't going to go to the end. So Ricciardo has to pit again. And Ricciardo's actually very slow at the moment, because even on mediums and our car having much less downforce than his, we've kept up with him through the middle sector. So Ricciardo definitely having probably a second set of issues throughout this Grand Prix, which is very unfortunate for Danny Rick. He's an unlucky bloke in real life. I'm curious to see what he's going to do in the Works Renault team going into next year, but he defends into the final corner, had no intent on trying to make a move. We're going to try and get a better exit than the Red Bull, go in his slipstream, and then be able to make a move into turn 1, and that of course doesn't happen because Ricciardo pulls himself into the pits as well as Pierre Gasly. So now, personal best of 32.2 on to lap 17. Hulkenberg is the next car down the road on the soft compound tyre. He has not yet made his second pit stop, so he'll be dropping behind me. We really need to start looking at our mirrors, because by the end of lap 19, he's caught up to us here, of one Valtteri Bottas of Mercedes. Now, unlike Lewis Hamilton, who's the #1 driver, I'd be looking to take Bottas' seat if I move to Mercedes. So maybe, just maybe, I'm going to get the elbows out a little bit here versus Valtteri Bottas. That's exactly what I've done into turn 1. I've chopped across him, and I'm going to make it hard for him to get past me. I'm going to show that, realistically, and let's be honest, in inferior machinery, I am better than Valtteri Bottas. So that's what we need to try and do. We need to try and finish ahead of Bottas in this Bahrain Grand Prix. That is the objective today, and that should hopefully get us in the good books, or the bad books, with Mercedes. We'll find out as we now defend towards turn 4. Bottas going to the left-hand side, tries to go around the outside, doesn't quite make the move stick. We kept it nice and tight in the apex, made him try and go the long way around, and he failed miserably. As we now charge on towards the end of lap 21, beginning of lap 22. Once again, we've pulled to the inside line, and Bottas comes past. He does definitely pull ahead of me, nearly a whole car's length, but we're going to be braver on the brakes into turn 1, and it's just, once you learn about a certain driver's characteristics, like Bottas, he's not very bold when it comes to his overtakes. And the fact that he keeps trying to go to the outside line, he needs to either get a better run or just commit to the inside earlier. But able to defend successfully into turn 1, and we just essentially need to make sure we do that for the rest of the Grand Prix as we come through the final corner. My only concern, which the engineer is pointing out to me now, is running out of fuel, because we're essentially having to use the rich mix to keep ahead of Bottas in a straight line, because our engines are very, very similar. But he's not able to make the move stick once again on lap 23. And that's essentially his only overtaking opportunity, unless he gets a better exit and then has a go at me into turn 4, which, to be honest, is a harder corner to defend from. I've done it a couple of times successfully in this Grand Prix, but cars can go around the outside of that corner much easier than turn 1, as it were. So, end of lap 23. Rich, medium, Bottas in the slipstream, just going to pull across again to the right-hand side. In fact, he hasn't had the best run this time around. He's closing near the end of the straight, but nowhere near getting past me. He was later on the brakes, though. Credit where credit is due. But Bottas not able to get through once again. And we just got to just keep a cool head. This is 6th place and 8 World Championship points. Much better than the start of the season in Australia, where we only got 9th, and we only got 9th due to a couple of retirements. As here we go, lap 25, Bottas is going to have another go at me. He's definitely got the speed. This time around pulls a full car length ahead of me, and then does he just turn in? He should just come in and try and chop across the front of me there, but Perez has dropped down to 5th, so Verstappen appears to have got past him, but needless to say, a potential 5-6 for Force India there, with 2 of us ahead of one of the Mercedes drivers. That is, that's the plan. That would be a very, very good thing. As here we go, lap 26. Bottas has already tried into turn 1, but he's got that better exit I was talking about a couple of laps ago. And Bottas now going to be trying into turn 4. Can he go all the way around the outside? I've taken a horrible line and lost a lot of time on corner exit, but Bottas wasn't able to cut underneath. If he had been, I reckon that would have been the position for Valtteri Bottas. And I just saw on the minimap, both Renaults appear to be behind the McLaren of Fernando Alonso, who's currently running in 8th place on the one-stop strategy. A fantastic drive from Alonso, which arguably on a power circuit should not be performing as it currently is. As you saw, Bottas once again made an unsuccessful attempt at passing me. He's probably screaming on the radio, although he's not screaming, he's very reserved and finished, just being like, "Get this Force India out of my way." That was a horrible attempt at Finnish accent, and I apologise. But Bottas once again going to try, and now onto the final lap of the race. As I set a personal best at the end of lap 28, Bottas is going to try and have a go into turn 1. It's the last lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix, and once again, Bottas is going to fail to get past me. In fact, my rear tyre hits his front right tyre just to give him the aspect of, "No, Sonny Jim, you're not coming through." And once again, we appear to be on for a personal best, showing that we kept our pace nice and reserved. Vettel has won the Grand Prix. That's 2 on the row for the German in the Ferrari, much like the actual 2018 season. Here we go through the final corner. Just need to get a good exit. Bottas can't attack us now, and we're going to come across the line for 6th place and 8 points.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
So, here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. It's Ferrari on the top step once more.
So as you saw, Sebastian Vettel won the Bahrain Grand Prix from Kimi Raikkonen, and Hamilton honestly wasn't that far off. 10 seconds back was Max Verstappen, who led home Perez. Then about nearly 20 seconds back was myself. Then Valtteri Bottas came home in 7th, with Hülkenberg and Sainz unfortunately getting the best of Alonso in the final few laps, which, like I say, was to be expected from Fernando. Then Ricciardo eventually finished outside the points in 11th. Shame for him, really, as he was doing very, very well. As we go on to the driver standings, Vettel leads the way, of course, with 2 wins, and then Raikkonen 2 second places. We're in 8th place. Perez up in 6th. He's 6 points ahead of me there, so Perez definitely having an excellent Drivers' Championship so far, but Hulkenberg currently up there in 5th. He needs to be the man that we need to look to be beating going forwards, because, like I say, we are locked in a bitter rivalry with Renault. Speaking of that rivalry, in the Constructors' standings, Force India jumped to 3rd place, beating Renault, who tie at Red Bull for 4th place there with Haas, and of course McLaren getting a point. Williams, Toro Rosso and Sauber, the only teams yet to score.
The fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy.
I certainly try to.
You were cutting your way through the field during the race.
And I think it's, like, I'm being honest here, the power unit of this car is just the best on the grid.
You're surpassing all expectations. Can anything or anyone stop you?
I'm just going to keep building up the power unit here, essentially, because it is the best part of the car, or apparently not. I said aero package.
That was a close finish. How are things between the two of you?
I think the competition's pushing us both to be better, and that's what we need for the team.
Appreciate your time.
It definitely shows how long it's been since I recorded this video, because I thought I kept bigging up the power unit there. But we got enough resource points to be able to redevelop that failed weight reduction major upgrade for the chassis, and that will be in effect then for the Chinese Grand Prix. So we're going to get 3 upgrades next time out. And the car, you know, China was where the Williams really felt good last year, and I felt on this year's game, just the Chinese Grand Prix circuit suited my driving style quite nicely, and we're going to be pushing closer towards Renault, who are nearly there with Red Bull and Mercedes. Ferrari definitely very much in front, but we're catching up to have a fight with Mercedes, Red Bull, and Renault, so that could be very interesting going forwards. For the rest of the season, of course, we'll then look to try and do the remaining failed upgrade from the winter, which is tyre wear. And then I'm not really sure how I want to progress going forwards after that. But guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. Please leave a like if you didn't. Comment any feedback down below. Next time, as I said, we've got the Chinese Grand Prix, a circuit which very much... I enjoy it quite a lot, the Chinese Grand Prix. I think it's one of my better circuits for me personally. Especially the first sector. It's just something that suits my driving style, essentially. And I'm hoping to get a very good result. Of course, we had the points in Australia is good, but the... 9th isn't what I was aiming for. We've bounced back with 6th here. What can we do in China? If you want to be kept up to date with all the content that comes to the channel, please remember to hit subscribe and enable them notifications. And I will see you all next time.